Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. And as Anne Marie just reminded me in the chat, happy Memorial Day weekend, which what is time nowadays? So totally forgot about that. This week, we have 10 of our best shipping tips. So things that we've learned through trial and error over our time selling on eBay and Poshmark and Depop and Mercari and other reselling platforms over the internet. And if this is your first time here, I'm Lola. And Nay is having some issues, so she'll be back in a minute. But we are thrifters and resellers, and we like to try and use thrifting as a way to create a life that works on our terms. So we resell in order to support our families, but also we thrift for ourselves, and we love all things vintage. So that's what this channel is all about. And usually we start with a couple segments that are both of us. So I will try and hold down the fort until Nay is ready to get back. So usually, see. Oh, sorry. And next week we have, okay, Nay is back. I'm sorry for being a little discombobulated.
I'm sorry. That was me.
It's okay.
This is what we need happened, like right as we were about to go on air, guys. My son comes upstairs and he says, "Mommy, I just spilled my whole glass of juice." And he wasn't kidding. I went downstairs and it was an entire glass of blue juice everywhere, all over the floor. So I just like soaked it up as best as I could. And
this is real life. Like this is during this quarantine period. You know, I know Nay, you usually have a more quiet recording studio that you no longer.
Yes, but I know exactly.
So we're just rolling with it. Next week we have a show that I know we're both super excited about because we both love this brand. It's another one of our deep dive episodes, and it is all about Kate Spade. So I know I remember my first Kate Spade bag that I bought brand new with the money I worked a summer job for, and it just meant so much to me as this symbol of my independence and kind of being grown up, as well as a fashion statement. And I know a lot of people my age kind of have similar stories, so there's some sentimentality as well as love for the bright colors and the beautiful patterns and things like that. So
yeah, and Kate Spade as a person herself too is someone that we want to talk about, because she did have, kind of an interesting, but there's some sadness there to her life. So.
Yes, that we both also have like personal connections to experiencing depression and stuff. So we definitely want to honor her legacy as well. And now it's time for What Are You Wearing meeting.
I am wearing my Tacos Are My Favorite Emotion t-shirt.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, so this I got at Goodwill for I think their t-shirts are $2.99 or $3.99. So it's super roomy and big and comfy. And
what brand is that?
Good question. I think it's like Grace and Threads or something, which is actually a Target brand.
I guess it looks like one of the Target like graphic tees. But yeah, I would wear that. And I am wearing one of my favorite thrifted t-shirts also. So this is like a 76ers, just big oversized shirt. Someone cropped it, not me. So I bought it cropped. And when I got it, it was already super worn in and just completely soft. And the jeans I'm wearing came out of either one of my blue box or thread up denim repurpose boxes. So they might have actually had a cameo on this show before when we did an unboxing, and they're kind of worn. So they're not something that I would necessarily list, but I tried them on and they fit perfectly. And just like my t-shirt, they're so soft. So I love them they were like my new comfy jeans.
And what brand are they?
They're Calvin Klein. So they're not like cool vintage Calvin Klein. They're more recent Calvin Klein, but definitely not something that I would necessarily have bought new. But one of those items that once I put them on, it was like meant to be. And I'm so glad that I tried them on instead of just putting them in the donate pile, because they, probably wouldn't, they're not quite the quality I want to be selling, but there's such an upside too to like really ward in cotton. So
oh yeah, definitely. And that shirt is so depop, I must say.
I love this shirt
It's
so
really,
much.
it's really cute.
One
Yeah.
of my like Philly like souvenirs of my life in Philly. So
Really awesome.
and this I got for, it was like maybe $2 at my local thrift. Yeah.
For the shirt. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. My earrings are Shop Goodwill. I've shown them before though, and my necklace, but they're kind of my go-to earrings, my silver hoops now, because they're sterling, and like anything non-sterling irritates my ears. So
yeah, I have a really hard time finding earrings.
Yeah, they're like the perfect size and
yeah. Good find.
Yes. Okay.
Home decor.
Yes. So I have this jewelry box here, which I actually used for all of my earrings and necklaces.
Oh,
and
that's perfect. That's so
pretty. It's really cute. I forgot I paid. It doesn't have any markings or brand on it, so I don't know. It looks like it's like Pier 1 or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's heavy. It's actual wood and all, and the little drawers are nice ceramic. But I paid I think
$566 billion.
as it breaks. I paid I think like $4.99 for it. So I could.
Not bad.
Sorry about that. He's in rare form. He swallowed a Lego yesterday, so we have yes.
I hope he's feeling better. Sounds like quite the ordeal.
It's been quite an ordeal, yeah. The juice, like it's been fun around here, yes.
So my thrifted item is also something I got in Philly and actually has a Massachusetts connection, which I discovered when I was looking up the brand for this show. So this is it's covered in cat hair because it usually sits in our living room just sort of as a decor piece. And when we lived in Philly, it was like our key catcher. So we had it right by the front door. It's a set of nesting bowls. I got them at Philly AIDS Thrift. And I kind of think that they were meant to be, they still have the price tag on them. They have different prices on the bottom. So like this one says $8.99. The smaller one says $7.99. And so I think they were really meant to be sold individually. But when I took them to the counter, the guy was like, oh, it's a set. Of course, like this is just one price. So we gave them all to me for like, I think the $8.99 price. And they are made by a company called Reed and Barton, which sort of still exists today. It was bought by Lennox after it filed for bankruptcy a few years ago, but it was around since the 1800s. They are based here in Massachusetts, and they're silversmiths that made weapons for the Civil War for the Union side. So I think that's just kind of like a very cool part of history. These are not that old, and they're not real silver. They're silver plate, which I learned is this symbol on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it on camera. It has like a C with an A inside, which means copper alloy. So it's silver plate, copper alloy. And there are symbols. So if you find this brand, they had a different symbol for each year up until like 1952 or something. So if it's a little bit older, it's quite easy to date. These are obviously a bit newer. They're very mid-century. That's what I liked about them. And so I definitely need to polish them, but they're just a fun little, nice decor piece that came from the thrift store.
Awesome. And I think we're ready to start do we have a segment before our main segment?
Did you do your home tip? Oh yeah, you did the drawers.
I did that, yeah. So which our main segment when it fell, I did break one of the knobs off, but I can
so, that looks easy to fix though. You can glue that back on.
Yeah, I can get that back on, but it figures, yeah.
Okay, so our 10 best shipping tips. So for these tips, we did try to come up with some of the tried and true things that we've used over the years, things that we've learned through trial and error. We tried to think of things that were a little bit more advanced. So if you're an experienced seller, we hope that you learn something from this. And then at the very end, we do have some advice for newer sellers. So if that is you, stick around until the end because we have sort of what we wish we knew back at the beginning.
Yes, definitely. So
So
Okay.
Nate, you want to take it away with the first?
So my first tip is actually thanks to Jason's prodding me forever to use this. I was shipping. I don't use GSP unless I'm shipping something very expensive. But for my first, I was shipping regular first class international, and it is very pricey now. eBay has a new eBay international shipping, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But that is also more expensive. So. He's been telling me use pirate ship. So I finally did. And yes, you save a lot. So what you have to do is you have to ask for the simple export rate for international. And it works great for depop too as a international shipping option. And if you feel more comfortable, if you do feel more comfortable using GSP or eBay International for more expensive items, that's fine. But I mean, most items get there fine. Everything's fine, and you save. So this is an example of something. I shipped something to Canada. I shipped a pair of jeans to Canada. They were heavy, big, like they were big and tall men's jeans. So it was a 2-pound package. And it went to Canada with this pirate ship rate, the simple, and that is first class international. It was $13.95, and it would have been $19.71 if I had gone through regular first class international through the post office. So, and then I think eBay would have been $22 for their eBay international, and GSP, of course, would have charged the buyer a lot more. So, yeah, so. Big savings there. You can see the difference. Prior to mail international is obviously a lot more expensive, but you can see the difference. $13.95 versus $19.71 is the bottom line. So that is a huge savings. And I mean, why not take advantage of that?
Yeah, that's amazing. And I am definitely a pirate ship convert. I've used it a couple times just for regular like domestic eBay items.
Is it domestic too? You still, yeah.
Yeah, I was amazed that even for one of the first class items I shipped, it was like $1 cheaper, which, it's not that much money, but it takes 2 seconds, and $1 per item adds up fast. If you're selling a lot of like clothing, smaller items, that's significant. And I just love the interface. I love that, like, you can see the visualization of where it's going. So after you buy your label, they show you a map, and it's like you're in one pin, and then the destination is another. So you can see kind of how far it's going, which is silly, but like is just so much fun for me. So.
And they actually talk pirate, the customer service reps, if you do the chat.
Do they seriously?
They
I haven't heard that yet.
Ask for the simple export rate. You have to go through the chat at the bottom of the screen. There's like a blue bubble. Hold on.
That's so great. Okay, so I'll let Nay finish that when she gets back, but I will move on to our second tip. Oh, okay. Are you all set?
Yes, I apologize. One of my kids locked me up. Oh boy. Okay, maybe let's just go to the second one, and
Okay. So our second tip is to know which shipping methods and materials work best for each platform. And this can also help you decide which items you list on each platform. So for example, when you're shipping on Poshmark, even though it's a unique kind of shipping rate, so everything ships up to 5 pounds for one rate, no matter the size, you can use the USPS flat rate boxes, which can be a really useful size for the Poshmark shipping labels. And that was something that they fought for. It used to be that the post office would kind of turn you away sometimes, depending on how much of a stickler they're being. So now that is a standard. You can use the flat rate boxes for Poshmark, and it can be super easy to, throw a pair of shoes in there.
Yeah.
So those are good to have online have on hand if you're shipping Poshmark. If you are shipping on eBay and you have a store, don't forget about the coupon. Remember to have your eBay branded shipping supplies on hand, because that can help to, remind people that eBay exists. So when it's in transit, when they get the item, they're thinking about eBay, and then they're thinking about not only you, but also your fellow resellers. And of course, you get $25 plus, depending on the level of your store, of shipping supplies for free every quarter. So, always take advantage of those opportunities to get inexpensive or free shipping supplies, which, helps the bottom line of your business. And Another thing to keep in mind if you're shipping on eBay is that their rate for the padded flat rate envelopes, there we go, is, even though it's gone up, it's still quite useful for eBay items. So you have those on hand if you have items that you are planning to ship. So, heavy jeans is one thing that I've used them for. I know Nay has some more extensive padded flat rate tips for later on in this episode. So it's great to just think about where you're selling and what the most beneficial methods of shipping are from that platform, what they offer, and what items you're selling on the platform. So another thing would be like for Poshmark, if you have a lot of items that is just around 5 pounds, to have some larger boxes on hand, because that can be a great way to sell items and utilize that shipping rate, because buyers often are hesitant to pay that much for, say, one top, but if they know it's the same, it's about $7 shipping rate for up to 5 pounds of clothing, then they may take advantage of that. So strategize about your shipping based on your platform. And Nate, you want to take the third one? Yeah. You're muted.
Sorry, I had muted because of the screaming.
No worries.
Okay, so order your free USPS supplies now and keep them stocked. So at some point they may start offering they may stop offering free priority supplies. So you never know, because of the way things are going at the post office. There's going to be changes. So just keep them on hand in case that ever happens. Always keep stock, because you don't want to run out. Then you're going to end up paying more. So definitely order ahead before you're out. And then you can call, this is another tip, you can call now online, when you order your priority flat rate envelopes, the padded envelopes, you can only order them in batches of 10 or 15. So that's online. However, if you were to order them by phone, you can call the 800 number. Now, it might be a little harder right now with the pandemic and everything, but you can request a box of 100. So if you do it on by phone. So, and I've done that before, and you do get some great, do get a great big box of them, and it lasts forever. And you don't have to keep ordering those little batches from USPS online. So, and then also keep an assortment on boxes in a hand, all sizes. They are free. So, definitely do that. And then you can always ask your local USPS for supplies. Now, I actually just went in there today. I do have some padded flat rates left, but I'm running low, and I did order them from the post from USPS online, but they're going to take a while to arrive. So I just went over there and asked, and they usually have a stash, but they're out of everything. And the only thing they had, I asked for Tyvek, was these military packs, which I said, oh, these are military. I thought she made a mistake. She said, oh no, that's okay. That's all we have in right now, but you can still use them for regular priority, which I didn't know.
I would not have thought that at all. So
yeah. So, and hopefully that is the correct information. I will verify that, but that's what my postal clerk told me. So, but you can usually they have, but right now, too, with the virus and everything, they might be lower stock because of that too. So definitely, don't trust that you're going to get your supplies at your post office. And they do have limited, they don't offer everything, so usually they just have the flat rate boxes and not the regular ones. And then if you have a size that you realize that you don't need, yeah, you can take them back to the post office, because they will take them back. So definitely don't throw them out. You can recycle them, of course, and you can reuse them too, as long as they're not too beat up. You can reuse the priority packaging too, which is good for the environment. And while you're ordering supplies online, remember your eBay coupon you said?
So that's when I always remember to go and find, or go and do the ordering, because I'm like, okay, I'm doing this task, and then it just jogs my memory. So I try to couple those two, just so that I don't forget to do both. So that's my little mnemonic, but your mileage may vary. So
yeah, exactly. And I also keep these on hand, these priority stickers, because I will often use regular boxes. I'll recycle boxes like from Amazon or whatever, and I'll be sending them priority, but without the sticker. The sticker, I mean, it'll still get there fine. It'll still go priority, but the sticker kind of like gives them, a heads up, like, hey, this is it's the priority package, so that it doesn't end up getting, like thrown in the back with the parcel post deliveries or something like that. So yeah, so I always keep these on hand, and you don't need to over sticker. You can, 1 or 2 per box is fine. You don't have to put one on every single surface of the box. I usually just will stick one near the label, and that's sufficient.
Smart. I think it also signals to your buyer that you know what you're doing. So
that's
it looks a little bit more professional too.
Yep. And they come in a roll of 250. So
you won't run out.
I just ordered more, but I still have, you can see my roll is, I still have quite a few on there. So, and going back to the pirate ship thing, I can go back to it now. I think so from what Jason was saying, after anything 4 pounds or over, obviously can't go first class international. That's a cutoff. So for 4 pounds or over, if I'm wrong, Jason can correct me in the chat, but for 4 pounds or over, it's best not to use pirate ship, but to instead use the eBay international shipping for that, because that can go up to 66 pounds. The new, not the GSP. I'm not talking about GSP. I'm talking about the new eBay international option, which I have found is not, it's not insured upfront. What it is you have to file a claim if they don't get it, but you will, it's insured up to $100. So I have a buyer in Israel right now, ordered a pair of jeans at the end of February. I did ship that eBay international. It goes first class international. Does go to the hub in Erlanger, Kentucky, but it doesn't. But once it hits the hub, then they forward it. It is through Pitney Bowes and everything, but it works differently, as in they won't take care of the buyer. You have to refund your buyer up front, and then you have to file a claim, and then you'll get reimbursed. So that's how that works. So I haven't filed the claim yet, because they told me to, since the tracking is still updating every day. I keep seeing, in transit, they said that they won't close the case in the buyer's favor because of the fact that it is still tracking, and they are seeing packages now with the coronavirus taking months to deliver. So I said, well, this is from the end of February. My customer's been waiting, and they said that's totally normal right now. So we're not going to close the case. Please tell your buyer to be patient and give it some more time. And, we believe that it'll arrive, because as long as the tracking's updated, we're not closing the case. So I told them that, and the buyer was actually really nice about it. And they said, okay, let's wait till July. Let's leave that as the cutoff. If I don't receive it by July, I want a refund, which is reasonable. They've waited till since the end. So hopefully it'll get there by then. If it doesn't, I will refund them, and I will file a claim. And hopefully, then I'll get reversed on the back end. So
that's great to know. We have a couple great comments / questions. So Ed says, I heard no monthly fee on pirate ship. That is correct. It is super, super easy to sign up. There's, it's so straightforward. And I've actually, because it's so easy, when I've been buying things and having them shipped on places like Facebook Marketplace, I'll introduce people to pirate ship, because they'll say, oh, X amount to ship. And I'll say, oh, actually, you could probably pay half that price to ship this through pirate ship, and they're always very receptive. So that's, good advice that will help you both ways as a buyer.
Absolutely. And the thing with pirate ship too, you have to ask for that simple export rate. Otherwise, you will not get that low rate offered. You have to ask for it, and then
they'll go through the chat and say, I have this item. I want to ship it.
No, once you get it, it's good. That's it. You don't only have to ask for it once. Then it's your account. They add it to your account. But if you don't ask for it, you won't see that excellent low price coming up. So you have to ask for it once, then it's set onto your account, and you have it. You might have to ask twice, because the first time, for some reason, they didn't set it up right. Something happened, but the second time I went and asked for it, and it was on my account, and everything's fine now. So super easy. And it is, there's no, the way it works is you just give them a credit card, and then they just bill your credit card or bank card or whatever. So you don't, you can't pay it through PayPal. But if you have a PayPal debit card, you could do it that way.
That's what I did, is I set it up through my PayPal debit card. So super easy.
So,
and then the priority stickers, those you would order on the USPS website.
Yes, so these are on the USPS website. If you search for the free shipping supplies and then the priority supplies, there are sheets of 10 of these too. You don't want that option. You want the roll of 250. So I don't know why they offer them in sheets of 10 too.
Whenever I get a sheet of stickers, they all just start coming off. Like the roll seems to protect them better for.
Yep, you're right. You're right. But they do sell them. I guess the people don't need as many. You can just get a strip of 10 of them. But definitely, yeah, look for the roll of them. And there is also one that you can write in the address. That's a different label. Those work, but we don't write in our addresses. So these are the logical ones. So that's just combination. What is he talking about?
That you had to try twice? Is that what Jason said?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's like typical with, things like that pretty much always happen to me. Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, my friends used to, or no, it was college. Gosh, it's embarrassing because they still do these things. Whenever I'd make a mistake, my friends would call it a Lola fail.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Well, Jason will say that he pulled an A. Like when he does something. Yeah, like.
So
my friends love me.
Our fourth tip is to. Sorry, my mouse is dying.
Oh no!
Get a new one. The batteries are fine. Sometimes it just like.
I can pull up our phone.
Okay, yeah, if you could pull it up, that'd be great.
Sure.
So to know when your presentation matters and package accordingly. So this is another tip that sort of goes back to know your platform, know your audience in each platform, because things can be different depending on where you're selling.
Yeah. So I have some examples here. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So if you're shipping something. Yeah. So the first one, Lola, do you want to take that one if you're shipping something?
Yeah, so if you're shipping a high value expensive package, you definitely want to take extra care accordingly. So this might be that you do go out of your way and get brand new shipping materials, and which is reusing materials is something that we'll touch on in a minute. You might take it to be professionally wrapped if it's something that's out of your area of expertise. So that might be a service that's worth paying for, especially if it's breakable. If it's something where there's a sentimental connection or something that the buyer might be buying it for a reason that's like collectible or something like that, you could maybe add a note and say, I hope this is beautiful in your home, or depending on the item, obviously. If it's something to wear, maybe say like an evening gown or something. I hope you have great memories in this dress, whatever makes sense for you. But just to add that extra touch, because it is a high value item and you don't want to just throw it in a poly mailer like you would any other item. So, and on Poshmark and Etsy, particularly, are the platforms that people are going to be expecting a little bit more of a presentation.
Yes, people will actually rate you down if you don't. I've seen that before. Maybe it's totally unfair, but I have actually seen people give less stars because they didn't package with tissue or they didn't enclose a thank you note. Yeah. So, which, I don't agree with that, but people do it because they are expecting a different level. So if then eBay or Mercari, not that you should just throw it in an envelope and not wrinkled, and, still presentation matters on all platforms, but especially with Etsy and Poshmark, I think it's, and if you are shipping something really expensive too, like I have a $1,600 art sculpture in my store. If I sell that, for anywhere in that neighborhood, or, if I sell that thing, I am going to take it to the UPS store and I am going to have them package it up. I am not going to be packaging that. And I'm going to have that I'm going to have that insured, to the gills. And, so that's an instance where you might, want to have something professionally packaged. And so you were talking about, you use scarves that you find at the bins.
Yeah. So when I find a big batch of, or even just one or two, but I've a couple times found like a whole bag of scarves at the bins. And so of course they're by the pound, like pennies. They're so inexpensive and they're really beautiful. So I'll pull out any that seem like they're worth a little bit more and are worth, listing on their own, but otherwise I use them as a bit like of a wrapping paper. So it becomes an extra gift, and then it also increases how the item is packaged. And that's usually my like $50+ sales on Poshmark is when I'll do that. And on the topic of thank you notes, I don't think it's worth getting like bullied into doing thank you notes just because some people expect them. I think that if you do a little bit of a thoughtful presentation, you know, just a couple sheets of tissue paper and tie it with, you know, I use sort of like my scrap yarn sometimes to tie it in a bow, and that's eco-friendly and it looks really nice. So that I think is enough for most people. And then if there is one person who happens to give me a bad rating because I don't write a thank you note, like it's going to happen no matter what you do.
Yeah, people, they might find something else. So,
Mm-hmm.
so with the thank yous too, what I will do is if I have like a great interaction with someone, or, you know, like we've talked about, you know, like I'm back and forth, you know, negotiating, you know, and talking about the item, they've asked me questions or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of times, like I will, or if it's a really expensive item, or I'll go out and I'll actually, I do keep these on hand for those cases. Like I have, or if a friend buys something, you know, somebody that I know, that kind of thing. So, you know, these are literally Goodwill, $1.99 for a whole box. And, you know, they're all different cat nokers.
Super cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and then I have these, you know, this was another thing that I think I got these at the bins, you know, so definitely look for these at the bins, you know, the note cards like that. And also a lot of thrift stores will sell single cards, like blank cards for like, you know, 10 cents a piece or whatever, or bags of them. So that's a good place to source those, you know, so I do keep those on hand for those, but I don't write a thank you note for what I know. What Jason said he does is he writes for eBay, prints out a packing slip, writes just a thank you on the packing slip. You can do that for eBay. That's a great idea. You know, for eBay, you don't have to be as formal. What I do is I use the eBay tissue. Now, it's a little tacky, I think, to use the free eBay shipping supplies for Poshmark or Etsy.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
However, I will use them in a pinch for just to fill the voids in the box. Like if I'm shipping a pair of shoes and I'm trying to, I will, and nobody's ever said anything about that. So, but as far as like, you know, I'm not going to eBay brand the packaging, you know, and then sometimes I will use these for Poshmark if I'm out of tiebacks, and I'll just put the priority stickers over the eBay.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
So then, you know, so because you know, the free, so I'll just stick one of these on, you know, a couple of these over the eBay, and then I have a plain poly with, you know, I'm going to stick the priority stickers on it anyway, because, you know, it's going priority through Poshmark no matter what. So sometimes I'll do that. And then what I do, here's an easy thing to do rather than have to worry about, you know, tissue and wrapping and all. I buy these cute polys. You can get them on eBay. You know, there's a ton of companies. This one is it's 3RB I order from. So, and I'll just stick a thank you sticker on right on the poly, and then I'll just put that into the tie back or the poly mailer or whatever. Just slide that whole thing right in, and there you go. I've already said thank you. It's in a nice, you know, pretty package. And I do that for eBay. And then I have stickers for Poshmark too that just have my store name on them. And, you know, I will, so that's all I do, something simple like that. You can stick any kind of seal or a regular generic thank you sticker on them. And as long as it says thank you, you know, and it's so I think the poly bags in that case are sufficient, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think it's
eBay tape for eBay. I try not to use my eBay shipping tape for Poshmark and Mercari and all, but sometimes I end up doing it in a pinch, and, you know, just, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I try not to. I try to use the clear tape for.
When we moved, we ended up running out of packing tape. And so in the pinch, we started using all of my eBay tape. And so like half of our moving boxes were just like covered in colorful eBay tape. It was hilarious.
That's fun. I've in a pinch had to wrap birthday presents with like eBay, you know, like I don't have any tape. I'm like, for family and friends. You know, I think I did that with one of your gifts. Yeah.
You know, you're a reseller when you give a gift in like a gift bag and the tissue papers on eBay.
So funny. Today is actually my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. She's actually born. So her and Jason's mom were born 3 days apart to the year. which
That's
is really
amazing. That's so funny.
So today is her birthday. She's 77 today. She's probably mad at me for saying that on air. But she actually is getting her birthday present with eBay tissue paper today. So, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Angelique says Mercari and Posh should have their own tape. Yeah, I would love to have like the right branded supplies.
So here's the thing with Poshmark. They do have, it's called, they do flash sales. They stock their store and it sells out immediately.
So fast, yeah.
And they do have, and they'll let you know when they're going to drop the items in their closet. I wish they would just constantly have it, you know, like just available, because it's instantly sold out, any of the Poshmark, and they're expensive too. The Poshmark branded items are much more expensive than, I mean, they don't give you any kind of free supplies. Like, I think we're a little spoiled with the store subscriptions with eBay.
Yeah. So one thing I do for Poshmark, which I guess is maybe similar to what you've done, Nay, is I go on Etsy and find like a independent designer who prints labels and order, you know, personalized thank you stickers from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great opportunity. Anything I can't get thrifted, I try to then buy from a local independent business. And so that's kind of my way to give back a little bit to the reseller community or the small business online community and get some great, high quality.
Or you could hire a graphic designer like myself to design something for you, because I do store inserts, business cards, things like that, stickers I can do. So I actually want to do that's actually on my agenda to do my own, but I want to send them to get printed, and I just am kind of like saving my funds a little bit right now, so I'm kind of making do with what but for a long time I did have my own eBay because I did my own store design and all, and I did. So, I'll probably do something else with my own branding shortly, but you could also hire a graphic designer that
and then get them printed on like Moo or something like that.
I use oh my gosh, my brain is blanking out now. I forget the name of I can't believe I can't remember it, but yeah, the one that I use is really well known, and
and they're not that expensive.
No, they're really cheap to print. Still, it's going to cost you, but it's not like if you go to an actual printer, I know from my graphic design, my corporate days, like going to an actual, it can be really expensive to get something printed on offset press. So yeah, so there's lots of options out there.
Did you have anything else to add for that one?
No, you were saying Etsy, and yeah, definitely. Oh, eBay also offers not only the stickers, which I find are really easy to just stick them on, but they also have thank you postcards that have a pre-written message. I will usually just say a quick, just thank you, and just sign my name, and that's all that you need on those, and then just put them in. Angelique, was it Angelique? Oh yeah, Angelique said a cool postcard. Yeah, so I will also sometimes grab those up. Sometimes you can get them in packs. I found a bunch of vintage fashion postcards that I use for Poshmark sometimes, museum postcards, any kind of, thing like that. I got, I wish I had grabbed it before the show, but I got recently it was a museum art, but it was just so funny because it was a postcard that, the person thrifted it, but it had aliens. It was like an alien UFO scene on the front. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And she wrote a little thank you on the back, and I looked at the fine print. It was like a museum, museum print, but it was really funny because, I know that she had obviously thrifted.
Yeah, but postcards are great, especially because the images are fun enough that you can really just write like, thank you so much. And that's leave it at that, instead of the cards where it feels like you're kind of pressured to write a couple lines on it. And it's like, what do you say to someone you don't know besides thank you? So
I think too, for Etsy, I think it would be cool because they're more vintage geared. I think that would be a cool platform to thrift some of those vintage blank cards or postcards and enclose those. I think I
will say vintage postcards can be quite expensive. So that would probably, if you do want to use them, to look for a big lot of them, which even those get pricey, or if you find them at like a vintage store or a flea market, sometimes you can find them for like 10 cents a piece.
Philly AIDS Thrift has them really cheap. Usually they usually have like bins and bins of them for like, I think it's, like 5 or 10 cents a piece or something.
Yeah, that's probably where you'd want to look for them.
So, and then can you just pull up my photo of the feedback? Because I just wanted to show that. So if you package nicely for all platforms, and these are just comments from Poshmark and eBay, you will see that people will note it in the feedback. They will. And I got somebody, and I couldn't find the feed. I was looking through all my feedback. It was probably from like a year ago on Poshmark. Somebody did actually write, very impressed by the personalized sticker. They actually put that specifically in the comment. So people notice these things, but you can see, thank you for using reusing packing material, which we're going to talk about too. So she appreciated the fact that, and I didn't throw in my trash or anything. I reused an Amazon box, and I reused I reused some packing paper and stuff, so I didn't use anything that was like, I think what I did was I put it in a poly bag, and then I packed it with, some recycled materials, but nothing like, I didn't throw in my old trash, but she appreciated that. And then you can see there, great packing. Thanks for taking such good care with the packaging. That bag is gorgeous. So that was an Henri Bendel bag that I sold for $300. So
I remember that bag.
Yes. So which I spent $20 for at Goodwill. I was like, remember the day I was like, Lola, look, I think it was actually 15.
You're like, I felt like I robbed them.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's an example. I sold a $300 bag. Yes, I'm going to take good care with the packaging, because she spent $300 on that bag. So, and she thanked me for it. She appreciated it. It showed up in the feedback, packaged well, you can see. And then she said, great, thank you for, on the top right one, thank you for the good care you took in packaging. I wish more sellers were as considerate. Beautiful CD, nice packaging. That was just a CD, and I had put it, I packed it in a, I forget what I did. I probably put like a thank you card in with it, like one of those eBay things, and put it in an eBay branded mailer, and they were happy. So, so it will show up on your feedback. You will notice that people notice it. And
it's a great tip. And so on that note, definitely, building on the thank you for reusing packaging materials, our next tip is to source free and low-cost shipping supplies. And I really like to think of this as, not only does it help my bottom line as a business, but it is part of the ethos of, especially I think, Poshmark and Depop, where people are shopping intentionally, not just because they want a better deal, but because they're trying to help the environment. And so if you get a secondhand piece of clothing and you're very eco-conscious and it's full of unnecessary packaging, then that buyer is going to be disappointed. And that's where the pressure to do the thank you cards is so frustrating, because there are some people who get annoyed when they do get them, because they don't want you to waste that.
So you can please everybody. I know there was recently something on the thrifting board that the person was so irate that they didn't use, and this is like such a bizarre thing to happen. I don't know if you saw that post. They didn't use reusable peanuts. They used the styrofoam peanuts. They were so mad that the buyer actually shipped the peanuts back to the seller and demanded that they pay for the return shipping, which again is like,
if you're concerned about the environment, that's worse.
Yeah, that's worse, because the truck's running, and the plane and the fuel and everything else. Like, that's just, but people are crazy about
Yeah. But styrofoam peanuts, a great example of something that if I do get them, I will reuse them, because they're not great for the environment. I actually got a package yesterday. I was so excited. That has these are the disposable peanuts, and they are in great condition. I mean, definitely would reuse these, but I have had so much fun dissolving them. I thought I would do some live, because it's so
awesome.
Yeah, I've only done it with running water, but I think this should still work.
Yeah,
I'll let these sit for a second, and
and they do
really are incredible. So it is neat to see.
And there's compostable bag, like the Goodwill shop Goodwill, not the Goodwill Blue Box. I'm sorry. Yeah. They will send theirs, and I wish I had one of those on hand, but I think we've shown it in a previous show. They have black compostable bags, and it says, that it's and you can put them in your garden and they will compost. So yes. So
comments agreeing. Yes, that was completely insane.
So here's the thing too. So we don't mean use trash to package, because that is poor presentation. And like if you don't use food boxes to ship, because first of all, like cereal boxes and all, they're flimsy. They're not meant for shipping. They're meant for for being used in your cabinet, not for shipping something. So it's poor presentation. But like, suppose somebody has a nut allergy and you ship something in a food box that contain nuts. Some people are so sensitive, with their allergies, that can actually set off an allergic reaction that requires an EpiPen. You do not want to do that to someone. You don't want to, expose them to something like that. So you have to be really careful, and don't use newspaper, because newspaper is not good it doesn't do anything to cushion items. And it gets black all over. So I don't suggest that. What I do sometimes do is I will save, and I don't do this for breakable items. I do this to fill the void in boxes with items that are, maybe need a little more padding, like a pair of shoes with heels or something that, you don't have to necessarily put peanuts or bubble in those, but you want to provide a little padding to fill the voids. What I will do is I will save my wrapping paper, and I'll just use that recycled, just to add some cushioning, and it's colorful and pretty, and that.
That's a great idea, yeah.
So I will do that, because, it's either going to get recycled or reused that way. So, but don't use that for actually, padding something like a breakable item, because it's not going to do anything. You need peanuts, you need bubble, you need the right packing materials there.
So we've already mentioned some of the items that we pick up at like the Goodwill outlet or thrift stores, but that's the first place that I would think to get, materials that otherwise might just get thrown away. So the outlets, I always see, especially odd size or sort of niche shipping materials, because there's fewer people who want that type, but sometimes I'll pick them up even if I don't know what item I might use them for, because they're so cheap, and in a pinch, I'm going to want that, and I already have it on hand, and I don't have to really pay for it.
I have talked about those photo mailers that you passed up, the bins that I saw then grabbed, and you're like, oh, I was going to pick them up, and I didn't. I've used all of them. I've gone through all of them, because they're so great for when you need something, when you have something that you need a little bit of cardboard in, like sewing patterns. Like I just used my last one to ship a Vogue sewing pattern. They were great, and I got them at the bins for like for pennies on the dollar. They were cheap. I found bubble mailers even at regular Goodwill. Sometimes you can find like the bags of them. I found bubble mailers. I found all kinds of packs. Sometimes you find like bubble wrap loose in the bins even. I'll grab that. So that's definitely a great way to get your packing materials. You also can ask your friends, family, and neighbors to give you their packing materials. My parents order from Amazon all the time, and they're always giving me, those airbags, which are great for, padding bras, for shipping underwire bras, for, so they are always giving me boxes, and they're extra bubble. So definitely, ask. And then if you, on recycling day, especially if you live in the city, like when I was in Philly, it was just like people put boxes out all the time, and there was always packing materials right on the street. You can collect them there. My local recycling center now has a whole cardboard drop off, and I know what days that they empty it, and so you can figure out their schedule. And there's always a ton of free boxes there. Like if I need a certain size box, I'll run over to the recycling center and go, find a box there. So. Next stores too.
I love like either posting on Nextdoor, or I love my local Buy Nothing group, which I highly recommend just in general. But that's a great place. I wouldn't ask for things there to sell, because that is against their policy. But if you're asking for shipping materials, especially people who just moved, they might have a ton of bubble wrap. They might have a ton of.
That's how we got our moving boxes. I used a lot of them, some of them for shipping. So, yeah.
And those are people who want to see their junk be someone else's treasure. So they will be happy to know that they're supporting a local business. And it's just a great way to get all kinds of random shipping materials. So.
Yeah. And you can ask grocery stores, liquor stores, stores like that, if they have any boxes. And a lot of times they have a whole stash of boxes that they'll, even if you want a dumpster dive, a lot of them will have, clean boxes that aren't like filled with gunk and food and stuff, in there. Yeah. So, there are a lot of ways to get free supplies. But again, don't use your trash. Jason this is so funny. He did a tiki mug unboxing this week, and he had they had put in as padding for the tiki mug. It's a miracle it wasn't broken. Basically a whole box of Ziploc baggies, which weren't like, they didn't have air in them or anything. They were just flat. Like it was like they opened a box of Ziploc bags and just dumped them in, and that was their bag. So don't do that. Like, I don't know why, but he got like 61 free Ziploc bags. So yeah, so don't do that.
$5 of like.
Don't use. I mean, I've seen people put like nasty things like water bottles, and that's not going to do anything. You're just basically sending people trash. So don't do that. There's a difference between eco-friendly and just filling your box with trash, and that's just, don't do that.
So I did want to share one more eco-friendly shipping supply that I've gotten. So I definitely noticed companies are shifting to more eco-friendly materials, which means that if you get a shipment that's like that and you can reuse some of the materials, it's like a win-win. So this is fiber waste that I think is the kind of thing that would come from, anything we don't buy at the Goodwill bins and then goes into the waste stream can turn into this kind of, it's insulation that came from Daily Harvest, which is a sort of meal prep service that we do because it's super easy and it's vegan and gluten-free and like everything. So it's really easy to maintain the things I can't eat that way. So they come with dry ice and then insulated with this stuff. And it does come in like these big sheets. So I think I'm going to cut it up into like smaller strips like this and then use it sort of in place of bubble wrap, and then maybe still do like one layer.
Yeah, that's great too. Yeah. That's a great idea. And pool noodles, I'm sorry, are another thing that you can ask if your neighbors or your family and friends or whatever are throwing any out, they might, because you can reuse them they're great for packing, using as packing, using corners, and it's better to reuse those too than buy them new. You can also find those at the thrift store too, so.
Yeah, or garage sales and stuff like that.
And it is, not only is this environmentally friendly, but you're saving yourself money too, because if you buy on, and I love sites like Bubble Fast and, like for these mailers that I get, they're going to be harder to find, for free or so I will spend on those, but you can get some good deals online too. So, but that's the kind of item that I'll buy from.
Right. And I definitely, when I run out of my current batch, I'm going to try and get the eco-friendly ones, but that's probably the one item that I really do purchase new, and everything else I try to reduce. Okay, this next tip I think is all you, Nate, because you are the expert on
so
the phrase I had trouble with earlier.
So get the full value out of your priority flat rate padded envelopes. That should have added flat rate envelope. Sorry, I'm like, they are priority as well. But yeah, so the free ones that you can get from USPS.com, as I discussed, you can get a box of 100 if you call the number, or 10 or 15 otherwise online. So always have them on hand, because you can't trust that your post office can have them. They don't usually stock them. And you can put items like jeans. I mean, I have fit like size 50 waist men's king size jeans in a padded flat rate envelope. There is a science to getting them in. As long as you cannot alter the envelope, you can put one strip of tape on it to kind of reinforce, but you can't like extend it or alter it. You have to be able to close it. So, but they do stretch, and you can, like, if you fold them right and then put them in a poly mailer like this, or even a Tyvek, a priority Tyvek like this, and then you can even like fold and tape it a little bit, get the air out, it will slide in so much easier than trying to get just the items slid in. So definitely try that. You can FOMO mugs, which is another, Jason talks about that a lot. That's talked about a lot in the thrifting board, that what you can do is, basically pack it in cardboard, bubble, and then cardboard it, and then stick that whole thing. It's like making a bubble and a box, in, and then slide that inside. You can definitely ship boxes inside of a padded flat rate. So you can box something up, bubble it, and so you can, but know your limits. Don't like Franken package. Don't try to alter the envelope, and don't try to like cram it. Like there's certain mugs that, like a really big mug, like a huge mug, or something that's really breakable, or, more expensive, you're not going to want to do that way. But for your average coffee mug, you can do it that way. And don't also know when not to cram something in. Like there are some big, huge, bulky sweaters that, are you just can't, they're not going to fit no matter what you do. There's, like a big coat or something, don't try to, because you're going to end up stretching it so much that it's going to, it's going to pop the seams or whatever. So don't do that. So, but you can definitely, there are a lot of things. You'd be surprised at how much you can fit into one of those. And it ships for, I know the counter rate is $8. I'm top rated now on eBay. So on eBay, it's $7.25 to ship anywhere in the US. So
still not bad. And it's such a fun challenge. It's so satisfying when you get it in the envelope.
It is. Yeah, you've got to maneuver it a little. You got to use some elbow grease, but you can fit a lot into those. So definitely those are like your best shipping friend. Keep them on hand.
And next tip is to know your full arsenal of online shipping options. So this is a little bit again about like knowing your different platforms, because different platforms do have different shipping rates, but then also knowing your rates, like we were talking at the very beginning about pirate ship. So there are a lot of services online now that have negotiated better rates through the USPS, and also have definitely seen FedEx and UPS, I think, are trying to also become a little bit more competitive in that market. Although we have also talked here about how the USPS is struggling a little bit. So definitely I do personally try to ship with them whenever possible. But the most expensive way you can ship is just taking it to the post office, which I think is what a lot of people do when they're just starting out. So if you're new, it's really, really easy to be able to print postage from your computer. You buy it online, you print the label. If you don't personally have a printer, you can always email that PDF to a friend and ask them to do it for you. Or in normal times when libraries are open, you can take it to the library.
I've done that with you before, Lola, where when I was living, when we were both in Philly, like my printer wasn't working, and I'd email and I'd be like, Lola, can you print this out? And I'd get the label from you, So you can, libraries in normal times, you can print, you can use their services to print. They have, it's like, I think at my local library, it's like 5 or 10 cents a copy,
Yeah. So. I do think it's a great tool to have as a, if you're a reseller, if you don't have a printer and you're just starting out,
you need. Yeah.
And you can go on like Craigslist and get one super cheap. And then of course the ink is always a little bit more expensive, but the startup cost there shouldn't be too high. And then you also could, if you don't have a regular printer and you're going to spend the money anyway, look into getting the like the Dymo heat.
Dymo, like the label print. Yeah.
Yeah, because those do go on sale sometimes on Amazon. And when you factor in the cost of ink, they're really not that expensive.
Bye, Craig. But Craig said he has to go. But
yeah, and I thank you everyone who's in the chat. I don't think we've said that yet today, so we're always so happy to see you guys.
Yeah, so definitely, and sometimes your printer might, stall out or whatever, you might have ink, so you can always, send the PDF. It's super easy. So basically, don't ever pay USPS counter rates. They do charge a premium. They charge for that service, and you can still do click and ship on USPS.com for priority or express. You cannot do first class on USPS.com, but they do give you a discount. Use pirate ship like we talked about. You can do on PayPal, you can use, if you go to paypal.com/ship now, you can ship first class there and it comes right out of your PayPal account. You can ship.
Yeah, and that's one feature of PayPal that they really are trying to hide now. So they really will only make it easy for you if you sold an item and we're paid for it through PayPal, and then you can click on PayPal to like ship that item. But you can buy shipping through PayPal regardless of whether or not it was an item bought.
Yeah, if you're just trying to send like your cousin a birthday gift in California or something, you can ship it from PayPal. You can, if you know, but you have to know that link. It's paypal.com/ship-now. And then you know when to use FedEx or UPS for large or bulky items, you know, and those can also be printed online. Definitely, you know, and list on platforms that have the best shipping options. Like if you're going to sell a large lot, it might be cheapest to ship on a Depop or not Depop, Mercari, you know, for something.
Or Poshmark for.
And each platform has their own shipping deals with USPS. I honestly think eBay's the worst, but
it used to be the best, and it's really
but yeah, it's what is it with a $6.99 now or $7 some, I don't know, it's a little over $7 I guess with Poshmark now. Yeah. And Mercari or Depop just changed their rates. They were tiered, like it was a lot better, but still it's cheap. Like you can ship for $4.50, you can ship like I think it's 8 ounces and under, and then the next tier is like I don't know, it's like $6 or something. So it's really not that expensive. So just know your platforms, and also you can even use stamps.com in a pinch. So there's a lot of options. Just know your options and keep everything in mind rather than don't, you know, so that you aren't in a pinch and you have to pay counter rates. Don't do that.
Yep. And your buyers will like it too, because you can pass some of those savings on to them. So
yes, exactly.
So one thing that I really like to do when I'm sourcing is to think through the entire process of selling the item all the way to shipping. So if it is a larger item that I'm not familiar with packaging, do I have the materials? Is there a chance that I'm going to have to, in a pinch, go out and buy retail, you know, a box that's the right size? And sometimes if that's an issue, then I realize that maybe the value or the profit I'm potentially making is not there as easily as it would be for an item that I'm more confident shipping. So that's always, you know, a good thing to keep in mind while you're sourcing. And the opposite's also true. If I'm, say, especially at the bins, and I find an item that may not have a ton of profit in it, but I know it's a piece of clothing, it's not breakable, it's easy to just throw in a poly mailer and slap a label on it and put it in the mail. All of that is my time, and my time is valuable. So the more time it takes to ship, the less profit I'm really making on that item. So I think that's just a really important thing to remember when you're factoring in the profit that's available on an item that you're flipping, because it's really, really easy to not value your time as a reseller and to think that it's all about the raw numbers of the price and the selling price and maybe the cost of shipping materials. Mm-hmm. But it's also about how long it takes you from start to finish to list, to potentially promote it if you're doing that, and then to ship it.
Yep. And if you do have to buy some materials, definitely do include that in your cost of the item. Angela, yeah,
that's a great point. Yep.
Yeah, so the weight with USPS changed rather recently, and so now the larger boxes you definitely have to think about and definitely look for your costs before you think about shipping, because if you have a larger bulkier item, maybe it's better to ship to instead list it on a local platform, where you can pick it up. If not, then look into FedEx and UPS prices, and factor in your price accordingly, especially if you that's probably something that you're not going to want to offer free shipping on,
unless it's a very high price kind of item. Okay, so this was a tip that is inspired by something that happened to me just yesterday, which is don't use your package to voice your beliefs. And so the story is that yesterday I bought a few days ago, I bought a postcard. I actually have it right here. So this is my 10th reunion was supposed to be last weekend, and this is a postcard depicting a tradition at my college that was one of my favorite traditions that I missed out on because it didn't happen because of coronavirus. And so I was feeling kind of nostalgic about it. And I went on eBay and found this postcard. So I bought it as a way to commemorate, my 10th reunion that didn't happen. And I got this in the mail yesterday, and it was packed very well. It was actually packed with some pieces of what looked like vintage ephemera that were not valuable. So I'm guessing the seller buys lots of ephemera and then lists what's sellable, and the rest can be padding. So that was a great practice. I appreciated that. But it came in an envelope stamped with the words, "In God We Trust." And I actually am religious, but I did not appreciate getting that on an item that, to me, I was looking forward to getting as a really emotional kind of keepsake. So in any case, it's not the right place to, to voice your beliefs, to try and send a message like that. I know, Nay, you said you actually have gotten like tracts in your items that you've bought before. Like people... You've actually gotten like evangelical tracts in your...
Oh yes, I forget what it was. It was over a year ago. I had ordered something online and it was shipped really nicely. I think it was like a shirt or something. It shipped really nicely, packed. But in there was a pamphlet, and and she had written a handwritten note saying something to the effect of, that I need to be saved by Jesus, and it was like really off-putting, because, she doesn't know anything about me, what religion, maybe I am religious. I personally am not very religious, but that doesn't matter. Like, even if I was religious, it's maybe I'm Jewish, maybe I'm Muslim, maybe I'm, another religion that, that's not my belief, and I believe something different, and that's fine, so it's just really a complete turn off. It was really off-putting. So don't do that. Don't.
Yeah. And Angela, in 2016, I got a package that had a Trump stamp on it.
So that was actually a great transition, because we have that down here too, that it is not okay to include materials that include your political or other opinions or beliefs. Yes, don't do that, because not everybody's a Trump supporter. Not everybody's a Democrat or Republican. Don't do that. Just ship your item and say thank you.
Yeah. And as you guys know, like, we have very strong beliefs. We do talk about them sometimes on the show,
but
that's not a place that we would voice.
No, I would never do that. Like, I don't not support Trump, but I'm not going to go saying, putting anti-Trump stickers in a package, because that's just not, that is not cool, Yeah.
So, and a few exceptions to that might be, like, if you are, I wouldn't do this, but if you were selling MAGA hats, then someone buying it is
okay. Yeah. So there you go. That's a good.
But very, very.
If you are selling like a religious item, maybe you'll say God bless or something, but I wouldn't even do that personally. But so it's not okay to also have someone try to have somebody support your fundraiser, your daughter selling Girl Scout cookies, or your whatever, don't do that in there. Whatever cause you're fundraising for, don't try to solicit your fundraiser through. And it's not okay also to write a manifesto about buyers being scammers or demanding feedback. Now, there is, it's a little, I wouldn't ask for feedback. It is okay. I think it's okay to say, like, thanks for your purchase. Your 5-star experience is important, or something like that, but don't be like, leave me feedback, blah, 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 blah. Don't bully people or write a manifesto about how people scam you and stuff. That's just not cool. And it is okay to include some nice marketing material for your store. Like, you can have branding, for your store, a package insert, a business card, your store name, advertise yourself. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, and it's okay to include, I think it's okay to include a note or card on paper that supports a charity, like the World Wildlife Fund or breast cancer, like, if, a charity or something. Like, if you're just using the paper or a card that you thrifted, I think that's okay. But you're not actually saying, hey, support my breast cancer fundraiser, it's not.
Yeah. And then especially in situations where, like, you're selling an item maybe on eBay to support breast cancer charity, and maybe it's a pink ribbon item, and then you use a card.
Yep.
That one of those charities also.
I do have stickers that just have like pink ribbons, and sometimes I'll use those to like put on, to seal an envelope or something like that. And I think that's acceptable, but I'm not actually asking for donations to a breast cancer charity or something. So.
Right. So that is just to say, I mean, I think that's a little bit obvious that political statements are not okay on your packages, but just to give a little bit of the like personal experience of as me as a buyer, and how it really did dampen an experience of getting an item that I was really looking forward to getting. So
yeah. So Angeli said, we appreciate your feedback. Yeah, exactly. That's fine, I think. But but don't like demand it of your buyer, or go into, they don't want to hear a manifesto about anything, that's just
that. And also then it can really edge into feedback extortion, which is
that's true too. Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in that position.
Okay. And our last tip is, if you are a new seller and you're just learning the ropes of shipping, it is okay to make rookie mistakes. And I think a common motto in the reselling community that I really embrace is that anything that you lose money on is just the price of tuition. So everything that costs you a little bit, it's actually a lesson that you paid a few bucks for, and that's totally fine because you won't make that mistake again.
Right.
So I know that personally, the 2 mistakes I made back in the beginning, and I definitely see other people making these mistakes as new sellers, is to list an item, especially on eBay, without the correct weight. And so then the shipping is undercalculated, and then you have to eat that cost. So definitely think the first thing that a new seller should buy, if they don't already have one, is a postage scale. They're super cheap on Amazon, and it will save you money very fast.
Yeah, you have to have one, and they're not expensive. Yeah.
And then the other one is to not have the correct international shipping rate. I know this was an issue I had on Etsy at the beginning. I think they may have changed it, so it's easier to correctly calculate international shipping. But back in the day, they used to have just like a flat rate, like international customers pay this much for shipping, and it was almost impossible to pick a rate that was fair and accurate for every international customer. So I definitely figured, okay, well, I'll eat some of the costs because I want international customers to be able to afford this. And then I learned eating the cost actually meant that I basically lost money on the first international item I sold on Etsy. So, keep that in mind. And we gave some great tips already for how to ship internationally. So, just think about the maximum shipping cost you may have to pay and what that is, and make sure that you're factoring it in, either giving it to the buyer or factoring it into your price correctly. And if you have a unusual situation, you sell an unusual item, you have some sort of shipping mishap that you think is something that isn't just a common lesson to learn, but something that someone else could get some use out of, knowing what your lesson and the cost of for you could save someone else money in the long run, always share that information. You can share it on Instagram. You could post on a Facebook group like the Thrifting Board, and just make sure that that lesson is not just your own, but something that other people can learn from.
It's funny, they have, and I wish I'd thought of this before, but they have, I saw in one of my Poshmark groups just recently, somebody had mentioned that they didn't know, and they shared it, and now I know, and I didn't know. There are yellow fragile stickers offered on USPS.com for free. They say special handling fragile. However, people were ordering those and putting them on their packages until somebody got charged, because actually those are for, they're supposed to be like a special extra handling fee, which I didn't even know existed. And those are the stickers to inform them that you paid the extra special handling fee for that package. And so if you didn't, then you can get charged for it. So I didn't know that. And that's something I learned because somebody shared that information,
That is a great tip, and also a great example. I did not know either of those things. So now I know.
Yep.
And so my final part of this tip which I think is true for everyone, but especially if you are a new seller, is to be a customer on the platforms you buy on, because that will give you a great insight into what it's like to be a buyer, to go through the process of buying the item, and what's confusing potentially to buyers, or what sellers do that you wish they had done better, done differently, and also to get great examples of good shipping and to see other people's little thank you notes or cards that say their store's name, and just to, you know, emulate what works really well and then change what you didn't like when you're working.
That's the best way to learn, is by, yes. So great tips there. And yeah, definitely. So just know the rules, know the rules before, like, know that you can't just cross out the priority packaging, that like priority mail on a package and then send it first class, because you're going to end up getting charged. So there's a lot of things that that you just, and thrifting board groups are great, to learn.
So Angelique makes an interesting point that, so the fragile service of the stickers is not free, but some postal people think it's all fragile stickers. So you're saying like some postal workers will want to charge you even if you just write fragile on the box. I know I've been told that doesn't really mean anything. So that makes sense.
It really doesn't. And I think some people use that as like insurance, like a false sense of security that they don't have to package as well. If you put a fragile sticker on it, it's not going to do anything. You need to package it as if they're going to throw it across the room, like you have to package well no matter what. But, they're yellow stickers and it's a special service, and it says like something like extra special handling, fragile or something. Yeah. So you will get charged for those.
Okay. So thrifting breaking news. I actually don't have any real news for you guys this week, but I did come across two really interesting articles that are both about the changing fashion industry. And so I thought I will add those into our description for this video at the end of everything. One's from the New York Times. It's about Elizabeth Suzanne, which I mentioned last week or the week before, I think, about how her store did not survive the pandemic and how that is impacting slow fashion and eco-friendly fashion. And then the other is a portrait of Betsy Johnson, which I thought was really fun. It's one of my favorite writers for The New Yorker, and is just a really interesting insight into how her brand changed over the years. So links to those stories will be in our description.
Yeah, fun.
And our market report.
Okay, so
right?
What's that?
This one just sold this morning.
Yeah, it's actually what's in here. So this is a dress. It was a 19, and I've had it listed for a while. So when I went back and forth with her, she messaged me and she made me an offer, or no, I made an offer, because I was trying to, I had it up for 52, but it wasn't going to sell for that. It's been listed forever. It was a cute dress. It's fun. It's a fun 80s dress, but I've had it forever. So I wanted to get rid of it. So I offered $39.99, and she said, I need the measurement from the top of the shoulder to the waist, because I hadn't included that. That's a good tip too. You should include that. I hadn't included that. So I gave her the measurement and everything, and she was like, okay, thanks. And then something happened with her car and she had to get it fixed. And she's like, oh gosh, she's like, now the offer is going to expire. I'm like, no problem. Don't worry about it. Just make me the same offer again when you're ready. And so it's been like a couple weeks, and I got her offer last night and I immediately accepted it, the same offer, and she followed through, and she was so excited. She said that she had a different rainbow dress, a vintage dress, and it's kind of falling apart. She's worn it so much. So this is her replacement. And, she was super excited, and she was really, really sweet. So, so I sold that for I paid $8.99. I did take the best offer of $39.99 plus shipping. So
this is a great pride dress. I'm surprised you didn't use that in the.
Well, actually, I mean, it wasn't technically rainbow, but it kind of is. Yeah, it would have. It would have been. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And she did say that she had another rainbow dress that she's replacing it with. So maybe she is, buying it for that reason. But
I mean, yeah, it was almost Pride Month, so it could be.
Yep. It's going to California, so
there won't be any Pride parades this year, but.
Right, she was really nice about it, and she was like, "Oh no, it's no rush on the shipping and all, but I'm gonna get it out to her today." So
it's sweet. It's a very cute dress.
Yeah. So, and then this I actually sold to our a friend of mine, Tommy Cassidy. He's a member of the thrifting board, and he actually bought this for his fiance because she likes Sesame Street. And so this was a depop sale, sold it for $20. I paid $3.99. It was new with tags, and so that went off to him yesterday. So I was thankful for that sale. And then I sold this. This was kind of a surprising one because it sat for so long. Now I did get this for $2, and I sold it for $19.99 plus shipping to the UK. So they paid, over $30 for it when all was said and done.
Wow.
And it was just, and this is one that's been sitting for a while too. So you never know. I have a typo in there too. I don't know why I have that MEF.
It's annoying when you notice it.
Oh yeah, I'm like, what I was probably trying to spell out medium or something. I don't know.
Meth. Is that what you're talking? Is MED instead of MEF?
Probably. I don't know what I was doing there. I've been listening for a while, but.
Okay, so this was an item that sold like right before our show last week, and I'm cheating a little bit, but I really wanted to talk about it because it was a sale that, like Nay's first sale, had a little bit of a story behind it. So I think I paid $6 or $7 for these, so paid up a little bit for them. They're new with tags, and sold them for $35 after they had been sitting for a while. I had a potential buyer on Poshmark who had a ton of questions, and they were all really good questions. So, I mean, I'm like a little annoyed, but actually really thankful for her because she asked all of these things that I really should have included in the listing. So she asked what the fly was. It was a button fly instead of a zip fly. And she asked, I'm trying to remember it. The fabric content, if it was 100% cotton, which it was. So should have included that. So
that's really important on jeans. I've gotten that question a lot. So now what I do is I include a picture of the tag.
Yes.
But that doesn't always do it. The fiber content tag, that doesn't always do it. So I also will put it in the description. People want to know if it's stretch or not. So if it has spandex in it, for jeans.
So she said, I really wanted these, but I kind of wanted the zip fly. I don't really like the button fly, so I have to think about it. And I said, this is, I'm also annoyed by the button fly sometimes, but in this pair, they're the Levi's made and crafted. And so the button fly is sort of a nod to the history of jeans because that's what they used before zippers were invented, which is something that I think I learned because of research for the show. And so she replied, oh, wait, that's so cool. And then she turned around and bought them. So okay. I don't know if that really was a selling point for her, but it was fun to share that history and then turned it into a sale. So
awesome.
And then the other item I sold, it was actually like the only item I've listed recently on Mercari. As I mentioned before, I've been trying to just list stuff that has been laying around the house and might not be huge dollar items, but I just really want to like tidy up our place and get rid of stuff that we don't need. So this was a box of GRE flashcards that my spouse Chris used to study for the GRE and didn't really use them that much, so they're in basically perfect condition. And I sold them for $12 on Mercari.
Always great when you make a sale, something that you basically, had around your house. And
yep.
Awesome. And so that's our show this week. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Next week, again, we'll be back with Kate Spade, and we have a question for you.
As always.
What is your best shipping tip? Let us know in the YouTube comments, and definitely subscribe to our channel. And you can find us all over the internet. We're on Depop, we're on Poshmark, we're on Mercari. I'll add our Mercari information. Instagram, you can hit us up on Instagram, eBay, and you can definitely email us at naylothrifts@gmail.com if you have an idea for an upcoming video. If you want to be a future guest, or you know somebody that wants to be a guest, let us know that too.
Absolutely. And please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're in the chat or you're watching this later on. We love having all of you tune in every week, and we'll see you next Friday.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.